Welcome to the Motley Croc Show. It is January 10th, 2023. And we're still going strong with obviously all the support and help from everybody who comes along to the Croc Show and checks it out. So tonight we'll be talking about a couple different things and some stuff that Jeff had sent me too. I thought was really interesting, an article that he sent me. I'd like to touch on that too. So I got those guys waiting behind the scenes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring them in and I am going to start the show off. What's up, guys?
What's going on, everybody?
Jimmy, how you doing up there, bud?
We're doing okay, man. It's getting cold again tonight in the 30s, and yeah. So I'm dragging, man. I'm dragging.
I'm sure, but I totally understand. We're doing the same thing. Cody grabbed up a bunch of stuff tonight to just to not take chances because I'm in the lower 40s, and so I understand. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah.
I'll probably put the tortoise in the shed right after the show. I got to check the weather here, but usually if it gets below like 45, I like to get him in there. If it's going to dip below,
right,
below 50. I don't want him out there being cold and he's got no fur or nothing. So
exactly.
You know what? Maybe we can make some fur jackets, man, for those guys.
Ooh, like a shell cozy.
Yeah,
we could use those. Those things that like
shell cozy. I even like that name.
That's actually a pretty good one. I think we should do it.
What about those things that like old ladies, that carpet things that they put on their toilet seat to match the bathroom, dude? We could totally do something like that.
Hell yeah.
Motley shell cozies.
Motley shell cozies.
You heard it here first, everybody.
That's right. Make sure you understand it was Reptile Nerd came up with the idea.
Right.
Shell cozies. They would have to be like, we would have to install like a solar panel in them, and then during the day they would just warm up and charge them up real good, and they would last for 4 hours. So like you'd put them in for that peak time when it was really cold, just release them. By the time they cool, the sun will be out.
I'm liking where this is going. You could even do like on a cold day, you can even do something that's like reflective, that kind of soaks up all that heat, like a little, kind of like Brittany would know about tinfoil hats, so we should ask her about that.
If he pops in, I'll be definitely talking about tinfoil hats.
Hey, before we get any further, Jeff, congrats, man, on your job, man.
Super psyched.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah,
I just read it. Yeah, I just read it, man. I've been kind of not on social media lately, so I just got on a little bit ago.
I'm jealous, dude.
Check it out. So
yeah,
congrats, man.
Thank you very much. For those of you who don't know, I took a full-time position as a respiratory therapist this week at a really, really good hospital in Tampa. 1,000 beds, level 2 trauma center. It's gonna be fucking on, dude. I'm
gonna be wild. So everybody, let's all get lung problems and go see Jeff.
There you go. I got the breathing treatment.
That's good, Jimmy. That was good.
Bring me your COVIDs and your RSVs and all the, the pandemics is.
Man, dude, I gotta give it to you. That's pretty cool that you would do that because you put yourself on the line when you do that stuff, man.
Oh yeah, I've had COVID. I'm almost can't count on one hand anymore how many times I've had COVID, but
wow.
That's kind of why I did it, man. I really wanted to be on the front lines and life is
David.
Hey, David.
Life has given me so much. It was time to give a little bit back, to be perfectly honest. And
what's up, Dan? So Jeff, you're like the Toxic Avenger then, 5 times in.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Dip me back in. Toxie's in the house.
I love it. Well, don't worry about Jeff. He's had it 100 times. He'll be fine. Send him in without a mask.
I know, right?
Call in the reinforcements. We'll call Jeff.
They love me. Like, like the mosquitoes love Yankees, dude. They fucking love me.
They do. The mosquitoes do seem to go after people who aren't native Floridian. I wonder what the problem is because, mosquitoes bother me sometimes, but I don't get mosquitoes bother me as much as bother some people. Can you imagine if mosquitoes were spreading around COVID like when we were kids, Jeff, and they were telling us that mosquitoes were spreading AIDS to the pigs and everything. So if you went outside and got stung by a mosquito, you'd die of AIDS. They were scaring everybody. Remember that?
If you turned up with it, that'd be a pretty good excuse. Mosquitoes.
A skeeter. Oh, my Peter. Whack it off.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? What's up, Michael?
What's up, Michael?
Hey, what's up, Michael? Yeah, that's what you got to tell your wife when, she finds out. Be like, babe, honestly, mosquitoes got me.
And you're going to die too. David said it's horrible. He gets eaten alive by those things. So that's I don't really get that bother. Like I've been out, like my dad has come to visit me, and we've been working on something in my yard, or we're putting something up, and I just look at him, and he's like, it's like ooh, they're all around him, dude. And I like have 1 or 2, and he's like, I can't do this anymore. So I don't know, but he wears Old Spice and stuff, so maybe it's the cologne.
There you go.
Interesting.
Maybe it's
I don't know, bro, because sometimes the shampoo I get that what is that shit? Head and Shoulders, and they have the Old Spice in it. So I use that sometimes, and they don't mess with me. So I don't know. Your dad just might have sweet blood, bro.
He might. And you know, sometimes, man, they're attracted to carbon dioxide. A lot of people don't know that.
Interesting. They don't bother me, even though I'm a Yankee, and spend a couple like Aprils and Marches down the Everglades. They'll never.
There's some times down there that I will agree, Jeff. There's been some bugs.
I
nasty.
You have to cover my face so that I wouldn't, I wouldn't spoil my dinner by eating 1,000 mosquitoes. They're awful.
Yes, they are. As a matter of fact, I was down there with Dan. He said mosquitoes are terrible in Flamingo. Jeff, because we've been to Flamingo. And so is Jimmy.
Oh, in April, May.
I went down there during, I forget what time of the month or what time of the year it was. It probably was summertime, July or August, I think. Dan can correct me if I'm wrong, but I was with Dan and a couple of his friends, but my God, they were like pterodactyls, dude.
It looks like it's snowing outside the car. It looks like you're going into hyperdrive, like in Star Wars, because all the little white things at the window.
It's like they're just giant. They'd hit, and just splatter everywhere, man. It's just unbelievable.
Isn't that the state bird of Florida? Is the mosquito?
It is.
Yeah, exactly. Speak of the Tokoloshi.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi,
This is a real live Tokoloshi.
guys.
Got some. You got some Loki and some Joker and
I see
some
Elvis. Is that Elvis?
Holy smokes! Look at all that deliciousness. Okay. What you got going on there? Let's see.
I just
dang! What'd you do? Just go buy a bunch of cutouts and put them behind you? That's terrifying.
No, these were I had these from years ago, and then he's my latest. So I was like, I'll just sit them all up for tonight's show while I'm.
That's pretty cool, though, man. I feel like we're being judged by villains, including you, Elvis.
Yeah.
But so we were talking a little bit about mosquitoes and how they attack people in South Florida, and so Dan said we were there in September. Actually, Troy, I haven't. At least we saw a dolphin, manatee, and a croc in the same area. We did actually. That's pretty cool. And the berm, yep, and we saw Burmese too. It was, September's a good time to go down there. Actually, I had some good times with Jeff, but we ended up, Jimmy, coming back up on sovereign land one time. Through the levees, and we came through a gate, and I was like, dude.
Oh, no, that was by Max Fish Camp. Yeah. That was that back gate to Max Fish Camp.
You should not be on here, dude.
No, dude. I felt like somebody was going to start playing.
Oh, my God, bro. We were, listen, we were driving up, and we went through what looked like a Florida version of Deliverance, right? And there were, like, these dark houses, and, like, there's this one dude, he just, like, was looking out the window as we drove by of his house. It was, like, I like Jeff.
All their eyes were very close together,
And they were a little gray. It was weird. And then we come out the end, and there was a Jeep crashed into the water with the ass end sticking out.
Dude, I forgot all about that. A brand new Jeep, like in
been robbed and thrown in there.
Right off 29. 29. We come out by Max Fish Camp where the sign is, like right over that little water where there's that concrete.
It was crashed in there. And then probably 300 yards away, there was like a big redneck party and a bonfire. Remember, I thought they were going to like come over and get us and sacrifice us to the Croc gods or whatever they were doing. It was bad, dude. I'm like, let's just get going, man. I mean, Jeff had guns. It was cool, but I'm like, come on.
Yeah, dude, we got in the car and beat feet out of there. So it was definitely.
No snake is worth that. No snake.
And in all fairness, Troy does have a pretty mouth. So,
exactly. Exactly. And you don't want to be caught in there, man, like that. There's some stuff goes on in the Everglades. I remember catching caiman back in the 90s. And Brittany will remember because I would go down there in the 90s, right? From like 94, 95, right in that area. And we would catch, when I'm not kidding you, we would probably catch about 40 baby caimans and 6, 7, 8 adults every time we went. So I would bring them back to the house like in big pillowcases full of caimans, dude. And I would dump them all over my parents' bed. Look at what I found out here. Look at all that stuff. Like, what is that? And they're all running all around. And I'm literally, we would have that many caimans, Jimmy. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was babies.
You remember all that stuff, Brittany, when you were little? I'd come back with bags of caimans, like pillowcases, 30 of them in a pillowcase, and like 3 or 4 big caimans wrapped up, like 4 or 5 footers, 6 footers sometimes. It was unbelievable. And we'd go down to the racetrack where that clear water is, and we would just get in there. Me and a guy by the name of Joe McDaniel, we would jump in there and catch them all up, man. Right out there out of that Miami racetrack. Now they're scarce. I mean, they're there, but they just move further out. They're there.
They used to be a good spot for like rattlesnakes and stuff too. Let me turn me on.
The Miami racetrack is notorious for that. I'd see diamondbacks all the time there.
Yep.
I just loved hearing them, like, because they were so small and the sounds they would do. Like, they would sit on your chest. Like, I remember laying in my bed and Troy put like 4 or 5 on me, and they would look at me like,
You're awesome, Jimmy.
That's so cool.
I've been going down there forever. Like before people even thought about it, I was down there catching those things. It's just when they exploded down there, and it was shortly after Andrew happened, and a lot of stuff just went haywire, and things were blowing around, things were moving, and there's still caimans down there, like a lot of them.
Yeah. I've seen them, and I've watched. I've seen Flavio try to catch one. And then I saw Justin get in that canal and catch the thing when it went underwater. I was like,
Yep.
Balls on that guy.
We actually filmed. We were with the Justin and I were with the production crew and the film crew of The Deadliest Catch, filmed for that show. Us grabbing those things out there, and we came across there were some big alligators out there, man. I mean. We went to some of these canals. I'm like, the way that grass is laid over, it looks like a fucking hippo went through there. I'm not going in that pit right now. So Justin jumps in, swims over there, neck deep into the hole. He's like, there's a big one over here. I'm like, good for you. And so he grabs this caiman. He catches a caiman. It's a big one. And he's got it underwater, and he's like thrashing. He's holding it, and it's fighting him. And if you don't have any experience grabbing an adult caiman out of the wild, you have no fucking idea what you're grabbing.
Because they're strong little fuckers.
6-foot caiman, dude, I can't even. It's terrifying the whole time you're holding on to it. So he throws it up onto the boat, right? It lands into this thing and close it. And these guys are like, what the hell? I hope it comes out. They will eventually air this. Eventually, I'm hoping they will. And it comes out of the thing. And so they're like, hey, can we get a shot of the caiman? So I open up the hatch. And the caiman, they've got a drone over top of me, and the caiman shoots out of there like like he's a dolphin or some shit. And so I grab him, and I actually have my legs wrapped around him and my arms. I'm trying to keep him from going back in the water. And I swear to God, I felt like I was wrestling an elephant. It was unbelievable, man. It's terrifying too. And I'm thinking the whole time, I'm too old for this shit. Get on the boat, Justin.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm done, dude. This is ridiculous. And so we got it back in it, but the footage is all there.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time out there, and that was it was for a segment, wildlife versus man or whatever. And so there was a whole bunch of, look at that sexy guy with glasses. Look at that. I don't know who that is, but it's got to be you, Jeff. But it was a really good time. But yeah, Jimmy knows, and he knows what I mean. Those animals are ridiculously.
Heck yeah.
I mean, the strength of a caiman, and the people in the crocodilian world understand what I'm saying. They just know, because you just know.
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from, dude, but whatever cell they reproduce with, it's way different from an alligator. It's like grabbing a 15-foot saltwater croc. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah, they're nuts. Yeah.
And the whole time you're like, please let me live God, even if you're an atheist.
The film crew that night, they still talk about that to date. They still talk about how they're like, these 2 guys, and the one guy just jumped in, didn't care, and they were manhandling these things. Like, they still talk about that. The crew.
Well, let me tell you, there was one dude. He's like, I don't give a shit. I'll go in with you. And he grabs a camera, he throws it up on his shoulder, and he just jumps off the boat. And he's like wailing over there. I mean, you're talking about a guy who does Deadliest Catch. They're dealing with 200-foot swells coming in from the fucking boats. I mean, that's got to be. I mean, can you imagine being on a shrimp boat and there's like a 100-foot wave? I mean, that's an exaggeration, but even a 50-foot roller. Yeah. Just a 50-foot roller is ungodly huge. Just to see the top of the boat like that, I think anybody would get in chest deep water with an alligator after that.
13-foot rollers that I was caught in from Catalina, I really thought I was going to die. So I don't even want to. There's no way in the world you could ever pay me enough to be on a Deadliest Catch boat ever. Never.
Yeah.
They make so much.
So I think if you had to be in the water with something you couldn't get away from, like, or in any room with something that had its, I would probably rather be in a room with a chimpanzee and chew my face off than get in with 5 or 6 caimans. There's just no way.
I'm gonna pick butterflies.
I'm telling you. I mean, and chimpanzees they're terrifying. I'm sorry. I know people love them and they're cute, levels of monkey, but I've seen some of the stuff they do to people and stuff, and I'm sure all of us have, and that's just terrifying to me.
Yeah.
And they're malicious too, man. Like,
and they're quick.
Can you imagine holding your arms down and reaching, taking your pants off and biting off your dick? I mean, that's what they fucking do. I mean, that's crazy to me. Like, you'd have to lay there and just, no, please, no. And he's like, oh, and he's just doing it off.
Jeff's like, man, I got to go buy a chimp.
Yeah, dude.
You know? And then he finishes with chewing your hands off while you're still alive in your face, and then you get to live.
Yeah,
Man,
no.
I mean, dude, it was unbelievable. I saw that episode where they took the remember the guy went to go. I knew you guys saw this. The couple went to go visit that chimpanzee that they took back to the sanctuary, right? And they brought him a pizza. It was his birthday, cake and a pizza. And what happened was something happened where the security gates were knocked down or they didn't close, and all the chimps got loose and came after them.
Jesus.
They chewed that man's hands off, his genitalia, and his face, and left him to live. He laid there while those other monkeys, the other one that he raised apparently tried to fight him off but couldn't, and they chewed his hands off, his penis, and his face. I mean, and you're alive the whole time while he's gnarling on your munchkin, dude. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, dude.
That's just horrible. And they do that to each other. I say it again, like I say every episode. Watch Rise of the Warrior Ape. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable how smart they are. Yeah. It shows that they have gods. They pray. They build communities
Where's
together.
That on?
They kill other monkeys. I think it's on Amazon Prime right now.
Okay.
Jimmy,
what's it called?
Rise of the Warrior Ape.
I'm gonna watch it tonight later on when I lay down.
That scene where there's a couple times where that lead monkey, man, that ape, when he looks over at the camera guy, he just looks him in the face. He just looks at him. And he takes his head like this, and they all go into the woods, and he wants that cameraman to follow him or into the jungle, and they just rip that one monkey apart, all sit in a circle and share him together and eat him. Come on, bro. That is the essence of a human. That's exactly the way humans are to everything. They are identical to they're unbelievable. It's impressive and terrifying at the same time, if I could say anything. Like and it took them 20 or 22 years to film that in its entirety with that exact group. They started out with like 3 and they ended up with like 15 warriors, man. It was unbelievable. It's like a true Planet of the Apes. It's awesome. Wow. It's awesome.
I saw a video. It actually was really touching, but it was of a chimpanzee female and in a zoo. And I don't remember. I thought I shared it with you guys, but maybe I didn't. But she had given birth and they kept the baby for 2 days because of some difficulties. And then they basically they didn't let the mom know, but in her little bed, they put the baby in the bed. So she came in from her feeding and you see her and she's kind of looking at the thing. And then when the little baby's hand like comes up from like the little blanket, she swooped that baby up with like such like compassion, like there's my baby. And like she just started nurturing it and loving on it and rocking with it. Like I think she thought her baby died. Like I think she thought that her baby was gone. And then the realization that her baby was okay just consumed her. It touched me because I know that they can be extremely aggressive, but they do have that for each other and for their infants. And it was just the females and stuff. So I was like, to see that was just so cool. Like I was just like, I love
it's amazing.
Emotion in an animal. When people are like, oh, animals don't know emotions, they're emotionless. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, if somebody still says that, they're just, let's just be real here, folks. They're stupid. I mean, that's a stupid thing to say. You know what I mean?
People are everywhere. What are you going to do?
Michael, David said chimps dehumanize you for sure. Well, because we're a lot like them. We act like chimps. Michael said wild boars are scary also.
I had to run in with some wild boar.
They'll mess you up.
You know, I thought it was a skunk ape. They're so loud when they run through the brush and stuff.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? And I think that was with Ricky, as a matter of fact. And I had my gun in my bag. I'm like, I was like, let's just run. Let's just get the fuck out of here. You shoot one and the other 6 are going to take us out. And,
they're pretty nuts.
Land for it.
They're pretty nuts, dude.
Yeah.
The big ones are. Usually they stay away. Like, so I've been, I was lucky I didn't see any. One of the guys on the trails told us yesterday that he goes, hey, man, there's an entire group of wild hog up there, and they just went through the trail. I'm just letting you know they're there, they will, Michael. They will eat you. But they're everywhere. You can see where they run through the mud and everything out there. So we got one wheels, and that's probably like the coolest thing we've ever done. So I since the 4th of January, Cody got one, and we've been out running them together, and I think we've done like 40-something miles on them so far. So one wheels.
Oh, is that those like
with a big wheel in the middle, off road? We've been off road, and so we hit these trails, man, and we're ripping through the middle of the woods and stuff, and it's just I can't explain it. It's like I feel like it's almost like Star Wars when those bikes go riding through the pines, and you're just hovering through there. You know, it's one of the coolest things. If you have stability, I recommend you get one and try it. It's one of the neatest ways to get through the woods. It's pretty awesome, dude. And so we were on the trail, and you could see all the rutting and stuff, and you could hear the stuff off. But I never ran into any. But I was like, God, if one chases me, I'm gonna crash.
Usually they'll run away, but they don't get out of the way. You know, I remember a couple times I was on one of the levees that there was a lot of boron that I used to go to a lot, so it was quiet. And every time they'd get up in front of the car, they'd like run up the levee onto the road, and they would keep running in front of the car. You know, you're like, move the fuck over. They just run straight. And
I got one for you, man. Last night I was driving back home from down south, and I had a fucking deer run right into the side of my fucking pickup truck.
Oh,
no way.
Or what?
Yep. There was 4 or 5 of them, and I was going about 65 on 95, and I felt terrible, but it's nothing. I dodged 2 of them, and right out of the corner of my eye, I saw this doe just running straight out, and she just pile drive the side of my truck. Ooh. And luckily, nothing happened to my truck, but unfortunately, I
luckily
through. So I didn't turn around and see. I just.
You say venison for dinner tonight?
Wonder, like, it depends on the impact. She may have just died on impact with snapping her neck.
She could have. I pulled over to see if she was still like attached to the truck, and she wasn't. But I dodged 2, and I thought for sure I was good, and then I just saw it. I'm like, oh, here comes the impact, and it did it. So
yeah, imagine being on a motorcycle.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jimmy and I saw a dead person. We were coming back. I don't remember where we were, but the deer went through the window.
Oh, you and I were on the road. Yes.
Remember, it killed the driver.
Saw it on the road.
It was just a big bloodbath, and a guy put the sheet over it, and all you could see was the back end of the deer sticking out of the windshield, and a pedestrian pulled over and covered the window because you clearly know the driver was done.
Yeah.
Done.
There was a guy when I was a kid, when I was living in Connecticut, that was riding his motorcycle down, I think, like I-95, and a deer hopped up and you know, grabbed him in the back and wiped him out. You know, the guy died, the deer died. It was the motorcycle.
I hit an owl one time on the Osceola Parkway.
Damn.
An owl?
Hit me right in the I was ripping down, bro. I was just ripping down. And for some reason, it just had a perfect enough angle as it was flying in the middle of the night, and I was cruising, obviously probably not abiding by the speed limit. And so I was ripping down through there, and it felt like somebody hit me with a fucking brick. Boof! And there was like feathers everywhere and stuff, and I finally was able to slow down, and I looked, and this whole owl was just planted on my chest. And when I finally stopped, he dropped down on my lap as a big barred owl. Wow. You know, I didn't do it on purpose. I love owls, but my God, dude, when he hit me good.
Oh, you were on the bike?
I was on a motorcycle.
Oh, damn, dude.
Didn't that happen to you in Colorado, too? I thought you got hit by an owl in Colorado, too, when we were young.
No, me and a buddy of mine were ripping back down through the Estes Park, Paul, actually.
Yeah.
And a big bear ran out in front of us, and we had to slide. We were like, real ass in. I was trying to slow down. Don't hit the bear, don't hit the bear. Whoop. And then the bear looked at us like, what the fuck? And then he shot off, and we both looked at each other like, holy shit. Huge bear.
Mom thought it, too.
Yeah.
I thought you brought the owl home.
No, it was not. No. I don't remember that. I remember being on the Osceola Parkway in Kissimmee. I remember the bear. I don't remember hitting one in there, but I rode a motorcycle a lot, so it could have happened.
Man,
crazy.
Worst thing I ever hit on my motorcycle was a June bug. Took it right to the nipple, dude.
I bet you wanted to cry.
Oh my God, man. I was riding, it was in Oklahoma, and I saw the thing. They're big out there too. June bugs are freaking huge.
Yeah.
And it was coming from the other lane, and I'm watching it, and slam right in my fucking nipple, dude. I had a bruise like the size of a around it.
Oh, shit.
Hurt. It was
I saw my brother. We were ripping back up through No, it was Stu. We were coming back up somewhere near 441 over in a pop area, and he was ripping at it. And I was behind him, and he straight up hit this cat, bro. Oh. And the cat went up underneath the motor, got into the back wheel, and like went whoop and swung up, and it went right over my head. I'm like, holy shit, it was a cat, buddy. Man, we hit that thing. I mean, because I don't know what cats, they tell everybody that, oh, cats are really smart and stuff. And it's like they sit and wait on the side of the road, and they look at you and they go, I'm going to go now. It's like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
We got no way to stop. I mean, we're not going to stop. You feel bad, but what are you going to do? Like, nobody ever feels good about hitting an animal unless you're just garbage.
No, I remember my first time I hit a raccoon on the back roads coming home at like 2 a.m. in the morning. and it was really foggy and I couldn't see very well. And I was literally right in the break of the fog. I saw him and it was too late. Like there was no way to swerve, no way to dodge. And he was huge and I could feel him. It was in my Sunfire, Troy. And I felt him hit my foot on my left foot under my car.
Yeah,
and
in the dark.
I called mom and cried all the way home because it was like my first animal hit. And I felt like crap. Like the entire way home. I was like, I just feel
I know. I hit that deer last night and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Jacob was with me and he goes, well, got what it deserved. I was like, what the fuck? He goes, I think you just watermeloned it. I was like, bro, just don't even. I was like, holy shit.
Gonna cry. Jimmy's gonna home.
I'm like, damn.
Bambi, I'm sorry, Bambi. I'm so sorry.
That's what he said. He goes, Bambi's not coming home tonight. That's what he said.
Oh man.
That's why I didn't ride in shorts, David.
It's like the movie where it's like men are in the woods. Man is in the woods, you know, and it's like Bambi, run, Bambi. Yeah.
Yeah, they sometimes animals do some weird shit like that. I don't know. You know, you figure as long as roads have been, you know, around the animals, the deers are starting. They very rarely now do that unless they got to be really startled because you know you'd be driving down the road and you see a bunch of deers on the side of the road grazing.
Yeah,
they just
you know, and they stand still. They're like, okay,
yeah,
we've seen too many of our buddies get obliterated out here. It should be like a learned behavior to not do that now. You know, it's like seeing a mountain lion or seeing a puma or you know, they're like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to be around that. You know,
that's like squirrels. It's like I don't even know what they're thinking. They're like
squirrels.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! And they like dodge back and forth really fast. Like, can I make it? I can make it. I can't make it. I can make it. I can make it. Oh, I can't make it. Huh?
I saw
change their mind right in the middle, right when they get in front
of
you.
I know. Like, are you suicidal? Like, don't do this to me. I literally took out myself and the kids to save you. Like,
yeah, they're suicidal.
They
definitely are.
Yeah,
one time I saw this box turtle.
Stupid.
We were coming from somewhere, and I saw this box turtle, and he was trying to make it. And I'm not sure if he died, but I seen him. He like slowed down. He was like, oh shit, he was on that line. And then he ran for it and he made the first set of tires. Well, the car that hit him just hit the corner of the back of his shell. Right. And he went, thump. I mean, he shot off like he was being launched to Mars, like shot off. And all I could think of was that song by Aquarius, Up, Up and Away. I'm like, bro, he cleared the timberline. I don't know where he landed, but he just got hit just enough that it launched him. It didn't splatter him. You know what I'm talking about, too.
It's like some cartoon shit, right?
You spend no time on the road, you'll see a turtle get footballed like that. It's like, and it's like it hits him at just enough the corner, it shoots him off. Like they just shoot him off into the.
Which is good because you're like, at least it didn't kill him. He probably just had a little bit of.
I don't know, Brittany. That was like being thrown by an NFL man.
Yeah,
quarterback, dude. Like he's like, all right, I'm going to throw it over that 50-foot pine tree, and it just shot out there, man. Like it was almost on fire. It looked like it was going into the atmosphere. I mean, it was.
Yeah. Well, and then if his shell's cracked when he lands, he ain't gonna make it. So.
Yeah, man. I've stopped traffic so many times to move turtles.
No, I do it all the time.
For sure.
All the time. I'm like, I don't care if you guys want to write me up or give me a ticket. I am stopping, and this guy deserves.
No one's going to enforce that.
Across the road.
Oh, right, man, I almost wiped me, Troy, and Flavio out. Remember that? Trying to avoid a turtle on Alligator Alley or whatever.
I remember.
90 in my Jeep or my whatever. No, I think it was in my Explorer, and there was a turtle, and I just freaking whipped the wheel. I almost wiped us all out.
It was awesome. I do.
I've done that. I did that. Troy knows. I did it for a little tiny slider. And I picked him up. I mean, like he looked like I mean, I don't even know how my eyesight at the time saw this thing, but I saw it on the road and I was like, what is that? I was coming close up on it and it was down in Orlando. And as soon as I got right up on it, like it started to like kind of shimmy really fast. And I was like, oh my God. So I like slammed on my brakes. I put my flashers on and I'm like in the middle of the road like this to everybody. And they're all like getting mad at me and all pissy. And I pick him up and I kid you not, he didn't even fit in my hand. And I said, Troy, can you put him in the tank so I can make a little tank for him and then I can re-release him? Because I was like, just like it's a little bigger where I know he'll survive. So we did that and then we released him. And I was like, I called him something, I don't remember, but I was
the bass usually eat them little guys. Bass will swallow them right up.
Yeah, so we saved him. We got him big and fat and healthy enough and then re-released him and I felt good about myself. I was like, I saved him.
So before I start on the boogeyman origin, Dan said that he's been having a lot of weird shit, but he thinks it might be his dad because his dad passed away, and so now he's getting a lot of things going on with him. So it's kind of like,
oh wow,
people are hearing whistling and chairs moving, and something's moving around his fan in his room and his alarm clock and stuff. So I told him to pay attention to what's being moved, so you can kind of see what it is that what kind of communication's going on with you. I think that's kind of neat too. So they didn't want to touch on that.
Especially
So
if
it's
he
kinda
thinks
neat.
it is his dad, I'd be curious to see like the significance of things that are happening in and around him. And when he's hearing these things or the whistles, is a familiar whistle. Did your dad whistle to get your attention sometimes when you were younger, like little things like that? Or even like photos of your dad, if you notice that they've fallen over recently, sometimes that happens too. I've heard of spirits knocking over like pictures of themselves to identify who they are in like in a haunting situation. It's not even haunting, it's more visitation. I don't call those hauntings. When you feel like you're being visited by a loved one, it's a visitation, whether that's in a dream form or in reality. It's still a visitation.
Well, happy birthday,
Oh,
Dan.
happy birthday. Oh, happy birthday to your dad, Dan.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. It was like the middle of the night, and he called me on the phone. And he's like, "Man, my dad just died." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa!" You don't expect that phone call, but give it to Dan, man. He buckled up. He manned up about it. He came to work the next day. I mean, I got to give it to him. He was. I mean, he handled that shit well. He did a really good job with it. So, and maybe, like I said, maybe that's exactly what's going on. Is his dad's just communicating with him this week? But he also said to me that his family and stuff too. They're having things move around the house, and they hear whistling and stuff. So it wouldn't be coincidental that would happen to all of them at the same time. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening go, "Yeah, right." So ridiculous. I've had people walk up to me that personally know me. They're like, "Oh, I put your show on, and I heard you say, this or that," and they kind of snicker. I think that's funny because,
So
same kind of people will go. They have like the great spirit in the sky, and they believe that he's answering their prayers and gonna give them a new car and fucking save them. But someone says a loved one came to visit. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Hey, would you help me get a new car and find the love of my life? And I believe in you. Give me a break. Sorry, off track, but it was irritating. But that happens sometimes. Yeah, Dan, it's probably your dad trying to reach out to you, man. And so you said it makes you a little angry, but don't get angry at it. Or maybe your dad liked to mess around with you. I don't know what your relationship was with him when you were alive. Like maybe he kind of poked around at you to agitate you when he was still alive. So maybe he's just poking around to get you agitated now. Maybe it's just funny to watch you get mad. I don't know. It all depends on your relationship with your pops. So he said that, and the Tegu is scratching and clawing at 3 a.m. in the morning. He's never done that ever. He's supposed to be brumating. So, well, maybe he's seeing it too.
Yeah.
Animals are really intuitive with things. They're very open, so you never know.
Animals and little kids.
And animals stick around too, man. Animal spirits will stick around too. Let me tell you something. You can hold on to animal spirits. I'm sure you. So Jimmy, tell me, you or Sarah, or have you noticed with Sarah, like your dog, the one that recently had to go to heaven, I guess, for lack of a better term. Have you noticed anything weird? Have you ever felt like maybe something was around, or other dogs were looking at something? Have you seen anything like that? Because I mean, that dog.
I've noticed like the dog staring off, but I mean they've done that in the past.
Right.
I've actually, Nala, she always had a chain, her collar chain, and I thought I've heard that before. And Raven has one, but it's very small. And the only time you hear hers is when she's drinking out of the water dish.
Right.
So, I thought I've heheard it. And, Nala used to shuffle her feet, because her hips were getting bad. So there's different things that I have heard. I kind of just let it just blow past. I don't even really, concentrate on it anymore. I don't know. I have heard a couple little things, but
I remember when Dublin passed away. It was like 2 or 3 nights later, and we were sitting in my old house in the kitchen, and right behind us in the kitchen, Trey will know from the Burl Road, there was a hall, like a laundry room, a little tiny hallway that led to my master and the laundry room. And the laundry room would have this really good draft of cold air that would blow there. And you guys remember how big W was.
Sure.
So W would lay there.
260 pounds or something?
He was 220 or 240 in weight.
He was a Great Dane,
It was the Irish Wolfhound St. Bernard Cross.
Mm-hmm. He's a big boy.
Dogs,
but he would lay there because it was the coolest. So the breeze but he would like whimper or make sounds at us to get our attention when he'd lay there. So it was a couple of nights after he had passed, and Finn and I were sitting at the table, and I was helping him with our backs facing that hallway, and still learning that process of him being gone. This was kind of a knee-jerk reaction. Finn and I both reacted to it, and I heard him whine behind me in the doorway. We both did. Even Finn turned his head, and I literally went and like started to say, "Oh, Dublin, stop," because they say, "Oh, Debbie, stop," or "Oh, Dublin, stop." And as I went to say, and I turned around and put my hand back and looked back, it was like it hit me. Dublin's not here. What did you just hear? Like it happened at the same time. And Finn even looked at me, and I was just like, "Oh, that's really weird." Like
Yeah,
I
I'm telling you,
literally
that's pretty
heard him
wild.
as clear as day. And I had Angel, Troy knows, my first Pomeranian. When I would come home from work at night, I had in the old house, in my parents' house, under my old bedroom door, there was the door they didn't go all the way to the ground, so you could see like a little bit of the light. So Treasure was my other pom. Angel would know when I was coming home, and you could literally see her feet pacing by the door
Under the light.
And so I would come home like late at night. Well, after Angel had passed away, for almost a good solid month and a half, when I'd come home, I would see that shadow, and she wasn't there. I would see it. I would catch it with like that pacing under the door, and she wasn't there.
Wow.
So I think when you just have that attachment, I think you can keep them there. I think that they're there.
A little sticking around a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a window. I think there's a real window that it happens, that they do let you know that they're okay and everything's going to be okay, and then they're gone. I think it's also to help you let them go.
Yeah, that's always hard. Losing a pet is the worst.
Oh man, yeah, it depends too on how close you are to that animal, and I think over time people have learned a lot more, about that stuff.
Scratching.
Let's see what Dan said here real quick so I can get on some stuff. He said, for 3 days straight in my room, night one, my fan somehow moved closer to my bed. I turned around and my lamp was on. Night two, the same thing last night. I put my fan on the opposite side of the room and it wasn't moved. The alarm clock was moved around and the Tegu was scratching. That's pretty interesting. Unless there's a burglar that broke in there, man. That's
maybe the Tegu's doing it.
My dog with the ceiling.
My dog would look at the ceiling and walk in the perimeter room every night at the same time, very slowly. It was spooky. Desiree said, I believe animal spirits stick around. My African gray Isaac names words and forgets them after time goes by. My dog passed 4 years ago, and I haven't spoken her name since then. However, he sees her name daily. I believe he still sees her. Yeah. And I think that's a valid statement. I'll tell you why I think that's like that, because we think a little more logical. And so we think, well, we got to block that. Animals don't know the difference between make-believe and, they see what's there, right? So their mind doesn't tell them that's not real. That's not real. That's in the movies. I don't think they think that way. So I think they're more open to a lot of things, which is interesting.
I think animals are very open, and that's why they always tell you that if you're in a home that you think is haunted or you feel that there's something around you, they always tell you to get a cat or a dog, because they're very intuitive, and they do see and they feel a lot more than we do. They have a third eye that's not closed. I mean, they just do. They don't.
Oh yeah, they always do that little warning, that little like they heard something pop up out of bed. Not even hear anything. I'm wide awake. Nothing happened.
I always loved having like dogs around. Like I'm going to be getting another dog soon, and it's like I've always had a dog, and there was always that comfort of knowing that my dog was always there, even if it was something that I couldn't see affecting the room, but my dog did. I always felt like my dog was protecting me. Like it was always that protecting. Just always felt good.
Yeah, a lot of people, dogs definitely attach differently, for everybody. It's really they become a part of the family,
they
for
do.
the most part. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I got clawed by one of my cats. So
what's that?
It was a real one. So one of the cats just clawed me in the leg, scared the shit out of me.
You're like, well, don't talk about dogs while I'm here, pal.
Oh, shit.
I'm good too, as they say. Troy sent me this video. Just on a quick side note, I laughed so hard I cried.
Which one was that?
It was the one where the cat's on the stairs with the dog, and the dog's like, "Did you fall asleep in your cat litter last night?" And the cat like slaps him on the nose, and the dog's like, "Oh no, you didn't! You didn't just touch me." And it says,
"Oh," and he was running really fast.
Yeah, and he's like, at the top it says something like it triggered the turbo in him, or a turbo button or something, and that dog,
it was unbelievable how fast that dog
went by so fast the stairs. The cat was like, "What?"
That's what Captain does.
It's hilarious because
Was
the
it a
person
bully
that
group?
did the voiceover, I'll send it to you. It is so funny. I died laughing. I sent it to Wendy. I laughed so hard. I was like, you have to see this.
Yeah.
I'm dying.
Both my last dogs would do that, like the zoomy, just back and forth, super fast, slamming into walls, and they don't give
Oh,
a shit.
God.
There's Dublin.
Oh my god,
Holy shit.
that is one
Yeah,
big
You
dog.
guys gonna see a big dog. That's Dublin.
He plays
Wow.
hopscotch. That's
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah, you could like ride
Wow.
that dog. He was humongous.
dude,
Big,
totally.
big,
That's
big dog.
huge
I think
dog.
I met Dublin one time when I
You did?
first yeah, okay.
He and Finn were best buds. I mean, I've never seen a kid in 3 years old have such a bond to a dog, and that dog loved Finn. They were best friends. They were pals, and it was very hard on Finn the night he passed away.
Yeah,
Sure
Because
was.
he was 3.5 or somewhere in there when he passed away, and Finn went running down the driveway. He like went running down our driveway and screaming, like he didn't know what was happening. And I told John, I'm like, leave his face uncovered so that Finn doesn't think about it like that. And that way I'll just tell him he's going to the doctors. It's okay. You know, or the vets, he's just going to be looked at or whatever. And Finn wanted to climb in the car. He wanted to climb on top of him. He was screaming. I had to hold him back from the car. Like it was horrible. Like Finn was horribly affected when he
Well,
realized.
any little kid when the animal leaves, it reminds me one time I was taking a big tortoise from Justin's house, and
Oh God.
his daughter screamed like we were killing her in the yard. Like I thought people were going to call the paramedics. We took it like she turned purple. I thought she was going to go get a butcher knife and come and stab both of us for doing it. I mean, it was that crazy. Like she was that attached to that tortoise. So I think little kids really. I mean, it was insane when she was like, "Oh God!" I mean, I was like, "Look, what's going on?" Like he had to run her in the house. Like you can't be standing out there doing that. People think we're doing bad things. So let me gain control of this again. Let's talk about something, Brittany. I want to talk about a couple different things, like that we're scared of. You know how you feel like you don't want to leave your feet hanging off the corner of your bed sometimes when you're little.
I never did.
Yep.
Or out of your covers because something's going to snatch it. And they called it the boogeyman, also spelled boogeyman. It's a variety of fictional, oftentimes folklore monster described in stories designed to frighten children. Tales of the boogeyman and various have been used for centuries across the world to influence children to behave in their parents' command. Kind of like the elf on a shelf, I think, when Santa's around. Like, he's watching you. He's watching what you're doing, playing with your bird.
Yeah, he's a little crazy off on the shelf. Watching
Yeah, he watches weird stuff. Little kids, oh, that's weird. The term is also sometimes used more generally to describe a fearsome or dreaded thing. So, what do you think of the boogeyman, Brady? And there's a reason I started with the boogeyman, and we'll move on. And what do you think of that? You think that's like something just made up over time, or do you think there was something that scared kids and that's where it started from?
Well, it's weird because, it's like the rake, right? So they're saying that the rake is now something that, and for those of you who know what the rake is, it's the mutated white, pale looking creature that's been captured on like deer cams or in weird positions across, whatever. But the rake was more of a folklore, and some believe, and the theory behind that was that it was manifested into reality, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
the boogeyman, I'm on the fence with on both terms, because in Mexico, there's like a superstition, but also like a little creature that lives in the walls of your home and like will come and take your toes and toenails at night when you sleep.
It's a rat.
Of like children or whatever. It's a rat, it's a giant rat. But anyway,
Oh,
so there's all these weird little tales. And so like with the boogeyman, I think in realistic takeaway from folklore, legend, or history, I think that the boogeyman started as kind of like, if you don't, you got to do this or the boogeyman will get you. It was just like that kind of thing to initiate, to keep the kids in line. But I do wonder if there is a true history to the boogeyman, and was it a supernatural creature like a demon or something of a darker nature that was around, and that's where it came from. But we kind of cartoonized it in a sense of being like, oh, the boogeyman's gonna come get you, boogeyman. Like, did we do that? Did we make it more friendly to keep our kids
John Wick?
or John Wick, right? So I'm on the fence with boogeyman because it could also take you to the way of like, did we use it so much that we manifested it into reality and bringing it from the pages into reality by manifesting this It's almost like summoning a demon, right? So like if you say its name enough and enough and enough, and you're calling upon it to come forward, it's going to come forward because you've now called it forward. So if you believe in manifestation and the power of the mind to manifest it, did we do it over a course of time like they believe we did with the rake and Slender Man? So it's weird. I'm always stuck on the fence with boogeyman because it's an interesting topic. Like, where do you sit with the boogeyman? Where do we all sit with the boogeyman? So for me, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that every culture has some sort of boogeyman or, you know, children scaring device, and that they tell their kids, you know, anywhere, if you don't do this, the boogeyman's coming. I mean, it's a pretty fucked up thing. You're pretty much telling you, eat your vegetables or you're gonna die from a guy living in your bed later.
Or your closet. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or like, I mean, look at Krampus. I mean, they did the same thing in Germany with Krampus. I mean, it was there's Santa who's loving and kind, but if you piss him off, he's going to send Krampus. I mean, basically, in a nutshell, that's what it is. It's like you go into the sack and he eats you. So it's like, well,
at least those kids have a sense of consequence a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that takes me to the next thing, which is the lechuza.
Oh God.
So the lechuza started centuries ago and rooted in the Mexican and Texicano folklore. So legend has it that the lechuza was a witch who was exposed for practicing the devil's magic. The townsfolk weren't happy with that, so they murdered her. Seems reasonable, right? To enact her revenge, she came back with a creepy bird, like a creepy bird lady. In fact, she's a shapeshifter who can appear as an ordinary witch during the day, and then at night, a huge bird with a woman's face. To give you an idea about what we're talking about here, lechuza means owl in English. So basically, it's a huge owl lady who kills people. Now, when Jimmy and I were in Texas, a lot of it was very Mexican folklore. So a lot of the Mexicans that would come in and see that, like, oh man, I'm not going over there. That's the lechuza. They would see my owl and be like, oh, lechuza.
Yeah.
And so a couple of them were like, oh man, that was just something my grandma said to make us come inside when it was dark so she didn't have to chase us down, you know? So like Jeff just talked about the boogeyman being something that you better get inside for the boogeyman will eat your toes or whatever. The lechuza was another form to scare in the Mexican culture, to scare them too in Texas, obviously. So I think that was interesting, but they really compare when you bring an owl around, and Jimmy can touch on that too. Even a lot of the Native Americans, the indigenous people, we can't even bring owls on their property.
Yeah, we have to make sure we get a lot of permission for that if that happens. So if we do bring them on,
because when they see an owl, that means someone's going down, dude, and they don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Isn't the history of the owls though, like the taker of the souls, like to take
pretty much,
so it takes them through the gatekeepers of the other side, kind of thing. Yeah.
And then some tribes, you know, I'm not speaking for all of them, but I've done a couple events for other tribes and they don't care whatsoever. You know, certain tribes, you know, believe in that more so than others, you know, depending, you know, for their culture and things like that. But it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's scary.
Snakes are another one. Snakes are another, you know, with certain tribes, you know, snakes are bad medicine, and you know,
that's been used all over the world in a lot of cultures. A lot of cultures find snakes offensive. A lot of them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the devil. The devil's pets.
Yeah, and I wonder why why didn't they pick something else? Because I've seen a lot of uglier things.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, back to Bible shit and, you know, the original sin and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, because, you know, but seriously though, for those of people that don't know, the term is called ophidiophobia, and it is a real fright. It's not like, you know, learned or whatever. It's like legit in you to be scared of that thing for some reason. Now that could come from God knows what. I have no idea.
It moves
like
no way.
Arachnophobia. I mean, people are terrified of spiders. I mean,
for sure.
Help it, you know, like it's just something that happens.
For sure.
My mom can't even see snakes on TV without freezing up. I mean, she freaks and has panic attacks and shit.
There's people like that scared of clowns like that.
Yep. Yeah.
Michael, your question, they would put the coins because that was your money you would pay to the what was his name?
The ferryman from the River Styx.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so that you had to pay basically your way. And so like when I always love this, because in history, when grave robbers became a thing and the coins were missing, the families would always feel like they were unrested souls and they would never be able to cross the river because they couldn't pay the ferryman to get to the other side. So it was, so having that kind of history in their own beliefs is disheartening. That's like, even if you go to like, it always really bothered me because if you go through like Egyptian burial, the procedure of why they do what they do and how they do the whole thing, and you need to preserve the body so they have the body when they get to the other side and all this, that, and the other. And when history came out on King Tut that his body burned, it is bothersome because that was his belief. I needed my whole body. It's not like the poor guy didn't suffer enough in life. Like he believed he needed his whole body to cross over, and everything in his tomb, like, are within his own sarcophagus because of the quick and poor quality in which they wrapped him. They used the wrong chemicals, and it caught fire to his wraps, which then burnt his body inside his own sarcophagus.
That sounds like Sabbath to me in one way or the other. Because you're talking about guys that's all they do is prepare dead bodies in Egypt, and they put the giblets back in, all nice, wrapped in a little bag like a chicken.
I think what happened is just people got pissed off because the Egyptians made them build pyramids, and they went there and burnt the motherfucker up. Let's just be real.
Yeah, it was my people and the Greys. We built them together. They did all the heavy lifting, though.
I'm serious. I'm telling you, Brittany, you think it's not true, man. Do your history. Look at that.
I am not disagreeing or not disagreeing with you because
the Jewish people, man, they just fucking, those people got just ran, man, like not even fair. Like you go to the Egypt, it was unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's why they
like, we're gonna burn this motherfucker up, pillage your fucking.
That's like they made that joke in the Night of the Museum where he was like, "Oh yes, the slaves, the Jewish people, they love us. They're so good." And then the one guy was like, "No, I don't think that's how." Adam Sandler's character,
Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller's character was like, "No, that's not how. No, they did not enjoy their job. That's not how that went down." Like it's the best.
They infiltrated. Love to work with their hands.
Huh?
I said Jews love to work with their hands. Come on.
Well, I mean, like anyway, with King Tut, they basically said they believed that because they were like, it's either, they did a quick job because when they first discovered him, they didn't realize it was King Tut because he died so young. He didn't actually have a mask made ready for his burial. They had to use another guy's. And basically
another guy's. That's
they did. They had to use another king sarcophagus that wasn't dead yet, and use it quickly for him and re-alter it basically for King Tut. Like so much crap went down for this poor kid.
How old was King Tut? Wasn't he like 14 when he died?
He was a young teenager, I think.
Yeah, he was, I think
13 years old.
Can you imagine being ruled by a 14-year-old? Your life would suck.
Oh my God.
Even a little older than that, actually.
They would just be like, they would tell you to do ridiculous things. You stand on one leg for the rest of the day.
Yeah, bring in the slaves for a little bit. I want to have some fun with them. Yeah, exactly. I can imagine. A little fucking reenactment of Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, no doubt.
Bastard. I love seeing him die. I really did.
I have to find it. When I was a kid, I watched this documentary. I mean, I probably was like a young teenager. This documentary about the curse of Tut's tomb and what happened to all the people that went in there and excavated it and how fucked up it was. That scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
There was a movie recently made within the past 10 years. And it was really good, man. It was about the tombs. And if you remember, they got stuck in there with that god. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember that movie. What was the name of that? Yeah, they got stuck with my favorite.
He had the dog face.
Yeah, hold on.
Anubis.
Anubis. Yeah, that's right. That's sorry. Yeah, you got it. Oh, he's my.
I thought Anubis was the crocodile god.
No, Anubis is the dog. The dog face.
Anubis, he took care of the main. My brain. Hold on.
That movie was sick. Did you see it, Jeff?
I know. I saw it because they like.
It was so realistic too, and they're stuck in there like breathing, and they're with these infrared cameras looking at each other, and this thing walks behind them in the dark. You're like, holy fuck, I'd be terrible.
It's a horrifying film.
And I think Sobek is the croc god.
Yeah,
Sobek.
Yeah, Sobek. That's right. That's right. You're right. It is Sobek. Napoleon saw something he wouldn't discuss in the pyramid. I believe that. I believe that.
There's legends that when they first started excavating, they uncovered extraterrestrial origin of different sculptures and other beings that were made into statues, much like what we have with like.
Cody said the movie was called The Pyramid because Anubis leads people into the underworld.
That's it. Yeah, but that's right.
It's I watched another they talked about talk about the Jews building the pyramids. I got to find that other documentary too. They said that there was like pieces that there's no way that men could move, without some sort of help, and that's a lot of the theory. I think that extraterrestrials helped build the pyramids because there was giant stones that as much as the Jews were known for being a really strong physical people, I don't think we could lift those big ass rocks. In fact, we probably
that was smooth, Jeff. That was smooth.
Very smooth.
Right.
Jeff, I can think of some stuff, that you can't imagine some of the stuff that they must have put people through back then. And as we got, further and further civilized, I mean, the Egyptians were a fairly civilized group of people, but still they were taking and enslaving people. And it was just, it's kind of weird to me, you know what I mean? That they were so advanced, and it just kind of shows you what nature is like. And a lot of people go, it's human nature. I think animals are by far way more crazy than people are at times, especially in their own world. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, they're not like, listen, we're going to give you the death penalty, lethal injection. No, they're going to destroy you. And you watch it day to day, and it just shows that we're very primitive still, and we do things that we think we can get away with. Now, had that statement that Jeff made earlier about being these big, strong, so if these Egyptians, which were puny people, by the way, puny, little runts for human beings, if you look at how tall they were, like these big kings were 5'2". Like, I go in there and play soccer with motherfuckers that tall. You know what I'm saying? So here's what's funny to me. If the Jews were like these big 6 foot plus monster people, when these little midgets came up to them, I don't think they'd be like, listen, you're going to carry that rock over there, I'm going to spank you. Be like, listen, little guy, I'm going to twist your head off. Yeah. So it's this whole barbaric, form of things. It's pretty intense, man. Like, I mean, it's just, if you really look into what people did to other people throughout history, as horrific as it's just the science, just the science of how it all works is just, it's interesting to me. I'm still intrigued at how when Jimmy and I were in Costa Rica, or not Costa Rica, in Belize, how the Mayans, how they functioned. And if you were little, you're a ding dong, get out there. You're not tall enough to be friends with us. So if you were just lucky to be tall, you were considered, Jim, you're still here. You're just with audio only, it says. So you're still allowed to be, royalty. And they had special, you couldn't, if you were a small mine, you were like, get out there and cut the grass. You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird to me.
Yeah.
Jimmy, you're still here, but there you go. You were still with us vocally, but your camera was gone. That was weird.
I don't have a clue how that did that.
The ghosts.
Even in the medieval era was horrible for torture devices. Like, they came up with some of the most outlandish and most ridiculous ways to torture an individual.
Oh, yeah. The rack, the Iron Maiden.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Well, and there was the one too that always got me, and it was, which you have to kind of like put yourself in the mindset of it when you think about it, because you're like, I would not want to be this person. So they had one that always bothered me, and it was, they would strap the individual down, like to where they were completely legs and arms, and then they would take a metal pot, and they would turn it upside down, and they would put a bunch of rats underneath it and lay it on your stomach and tie it to your stomach, and then they would put hot coals on the top. So as it heated up, the animals would then burrow. So they would eat into you to burrow away from the heat, and then eat you from the inside, or from the
Mafia would do that with metal paint buckets on there and stick them on people's stomachs.
There you go. You've seen Vikings, right? You guys, all of you?
I've never seen that. Yeah. I haven't watched that.
Oh, dude, they did this thing where they
bro, you'd love it.
But they like butterfly people. They like cut their back, and then they
hoist
their entire body spread out. It was fucked up.
Nope.
That's crazy, man, that people would do that stuff.
I mean, the best thing, like, did you see, Jimmy, when they put him in the snake pit and there was like corn snakes in there? And
dangerous corn snakes? Oh my God, get out of here.
Black and white Cali King that rolled by. You got to watch that scene. It's pretty freaking hilarious. Boas, everything, but there was not, nothing that even looked intimidating.
Yeah, some of that stuff. It's like. Oof,
so while I have a few minutes, I'm going to rein it in, because we get crazy talking about those big sexy Vikings like Jimmy, but 6-year-old. You
Oh,
sent me a
yeah.
story about a 6-year-old,
Yeah.
Jeff. Had some words for the judge. I'm curious about that.
It's from what I gathered, the kid brought a gun to school in his backpack and pulled it out, aimed it at the teacher, and just shot her. And the police are saying that it was absolutely an incidental. He did it on purpose. And they're going back and forth about whether they could prosecute this 6-year-old first grader. And a lot of states, children of a certain age are immune to prosecution, period, because they haven't developed enough to know right and wrong. But this kid, talk about cognizant. He stole the gun from his mom. It was a legally bought firearm that his mom bought, and which was illegally stored, obviously, if the 6-year-old can get his hands on it. Brought it to school, shot the teacher in front of like a dozen other kids.
Okay, so how old was he?
6.
Okay, so that's right. He was 6. Let me say this because I want to touch on something real quick. 2 things. One, if the story is even like in its full legit, because remember, we're going to be going into the next elections, right? Everybody wants to get rid of guns now. It's like, see, this woman bought it legally and a child did this. Now, hold on. Let's go back now. So let's just say that was even the case if it's just people revving it up because of what it is. But in fairness, a total story that's real. And I'm not saying that I disbelieve the story, but here's what I'm saying. You give a kid an iPhone or an iPad, all right? And he goes online, and every fucking game that these kids play have guns, and they're shooting zombies, people they don't like, bad guys. They always have a gun. They're shooting. So a 6-year-old with something that they know shoots because they've recognized it, especially if they're, smart enough to realize that, thinking that they're just going to shoot the teacher and they're going to win the game a lot of times.
Right. No,
because their sense of reality, is but we put that in all of this social media, and we put that in games, Jeff. So you're handing a little kid and they go, oh, cool, I can get this big, bazooka gun and I can blow away 20 people at one time. You're taking away that. We should name guns. When I was a kid and we had the toy guns, you don't aim that at a person.
Yep, never. That's what I was taught too.
You don't aim that at anybody. That's dangerous. Even a toy gun. Don't shoot. Don't aim a gun at anybody. It's wrong. And when we're learning how firearms, remember, Jeff, you never teach your kids that a gun should always be facing the floor.
Oh, my kids know exactly.
But what are we teaching them now?
Yeah, no,
I love guns. I'm not going to sit here and be against guns. I love them. And I'll say that. That is my opinion, and I do love them. I think they're awesome. I think the idiots, I always say this, forks don't make people fat. Okay?
Nope.
So my point is, it's what you do with your stuff. I'm sorry, because I just think it's ridiculous, man. But that's sad that somebody lost their life to. And what about the damage to that 6-year-old?
She got shot in the hand and
okay.
into her chest, I think, was one shot. She did not die. But, a child at 6 years old, they may have enough emotional intelligence to take the gun to school and to shoot it, but they don't have a real, they're not really cognizant of consequence in that way. The worst thing that kid probably ever got was a spanking or yelled at or whatever. So they don't, they don't know what prison is, and they don't really know.
He doesn't have it says here, he doesn't have the intellectual capacity to even understand, to form the intent to commit a crime like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the chemicals for that.
Oh no, exactly. He's not. His brain.
Little kids fuck shit up all the time. I think it was just. But now they're just going to end up blaming the mother because the mother didn't have the gun securely.
Yeah.
But she should. She absolutely should. And if you're an adult that has a gun with kids in the house and your kids can get a hold of that gun and shoot somebody, I believe that the parents are 100% to blame. I've been a gun owner since, handgun owner since I was, as far as y'all know, 21. And I think that once I had kids, I was even when my kids were babies, I felt weird. When I was bounty hunting, I'd come home and I'd take my holster off and put it on the dresser. My kids couldn't even get out of a crib, but I remember crawling out of my crib and painting half my room with some paint thinner and a brush.
Because you hear a lot of people say, you should never have a gun in the house if you have children. How dare you? Well, what about law enforcement, man? What about law enforcement who go out on every day and they got to go to work and they carry a gun? Doesn't mean they got to lock it in the car.
Absolutely.
Give me a break. There's just, and you're a cop too. You got to worry about someone trying to come to your house and do something stupid to you.
But there's so many new housings that you can purchase for yourself to protect your individuals and the kids in the house. It's not like just putting it in your bedside drawer anymore. Like they have really advanced technology lock safes. I have a friend.
I have a safe that's a handprint. I mean, it's got buttons. It's not an actual reader, but you can get those. But the buttons are what on the fingers are what opens it. So I know it's like, I'm not gonna tell you the exact combo, but like, index, pinky, thumb, and it opens. Like that. So I know how to open it quick in the middle of the night. And I mean, right now Ruby's away, so I take my gun out every day and I put it on my counter. When she comes back, it goes in the safe at night.
But, and it should be like, so it says that the child is currently receiving mental treatment at a medical facility under the emergency court order. How much damage are you doing to that kid by sending him right now after when the gun went off, it probably startled him. It was loud.
Oh, it scared him. Yeah.
Now there's blood everywhere. The women scream. All the children screamed. So the trauma there has already happened.
Oh, this kid's going to need a lot of therapy, man. He's
receiving treatment away from his family. I don't know, man. That seems like I think you're perpetuating a little more. What are you treating him for? Better be because he was scared, not because what you did was wrong, you little tyrant. We don't even know half of this stuff. Well, and I'm going to say this again: the closer we get to 2024, the more bullshit like this you're going to see. I'm sorry, you're going to see more of this.
Well,
every 4 years, Jeff, it happens every 4 years.
I feel bad because it's just a 6-year-old mind. So I look at Finn, who's 6. The 6-year-old mind, they just don't get it. And then in his head, he probably didn't see anything wrong with guns because he knows his mom has a gun to protect them. So it's not the same process. That process is not.
Or he didn't know that. He just came across it and he saw it on,
No, but I'm saying, like you were saying earlier, that desensitized it, it's a cool thing to have as well. And then you use this to go after a bully or a zombie or whatever the case is. So I don't think that his mind I just don't think that that's really what he was doing. Was it the parents' fault? Yes. But where I also feel bad is now you have this 6-year-old who's thinking, I just want my mom. I want to feel safe. I didn't mean to do this. And now most likely they're going to take him from her to where now you're going to mentally damage him even more and create that horrible rip inside of him that's never going to be mended.
It's 22. It really is.
It's awful.
You can't. There's no winner. The teacher doesn't win. All the other kids who are probably traumatized don't win.
This is my final statement. I do not think that child should be taken away from his mother when sexual offenders who do horrible, heinous things to their own children, including beat them, rape them, stab them, burn them with cigarettes. And the court just goes, it's okay. They had 1 good month. Now the kids can go back. And it happens repeatedly. And our system doesn't do anything about it. But this one mom who probably has never had any incident or any bad rep with that gun at all, and probably does do right. It was probably like a mistake. Maybe had it out, forgot to lock. It was probably just a quick oops. And now her and her son. Oh, it is. I'm not kidding that, but
you can't use it. You can't use what you said before for political leverage. Keep that in mind.
I understand that. I'm just saying my viewpoint is that it's not okay. If one little incident like this and the whole thing goes up in kabang, and it's like, now we got to rip him from the home. We're going to go get mental help for him and all this other stuff, and probably never let him see his mom again or live with his mom because they talked about putting him in social services.
Yeah.
Like you literally do that to these other kids who then go back to their predator who continues to do this to them. That's their parents.
Why would you put that kid in social services for this and take him away from his? That makes absolutely no sense. That's just more garbage.
Short term,
our system is so twisted. Our system is so
they're trying to because it just happened a couple days ago.
But in my opinion, it shouldn't be social services. It should be
a family member,
back to like the grandparents or someone, and it's going to be monitored visitations until we figure out exactly what happened with the gun.
And I think that if there's an available family member, as far as my, back in my bail days and everything, all my dealings with social services, I think that that they do try, if there's a viable family member, to place them with, because it's less of a strain on the the system there, because those systems are so overloaded with kids that are going to be broken growing up in group homes and stuff. Luckily some escape it, but I every time I see something like that, like the kids are with social services, it makes I get a pit in my stomach. The other article I sent you guys about the guy who got caught because they caught him Googling how to dispose of a 115-pound body after his wife disappeared. You know, that the thing that really rung with me in the
my
article
God.
is the kids are with social services. I was like, poor kids, you know, 2, 4, and 6, I think they were. And you know, in this day and age, if you're gonna kill somebody, how are you gonna fucking on your own goddamn computer, you know, Google how to dispose of a body?
Yeah.
That's how they would have caught Casey Anthony if they knew there was another browser on their computer. They found that out after the fact that the other browser had all this stuff like, you know, all kinds of stuff about chloroform and shit.
Yep.
They can't try her again. It's double jeopardy.
But no one's going to care about this being. No one's going to care about this being like a little kid and his life and the mother. They're going to use this now as
cool.
Everybody who has guns a piece of shit. You shouldn't have them. And then you hear now these wackos are going to come out of the closet and they're going to say, "Well, you should have that gun in a safe locked really far away in your closet with an extra code for what?" The fuck do you even need it then for? If you're if you're going to have a firearm, why do you even need? If you're going to do that, there's no purpose in you even having.
Well, I can open that safe
unless you're going to hunt and you're just using them for hunting. But if it's home defense, what the hell, dude?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, but there, like Brittany was saying, there's things that you can put. There's safes that go
I agree,
under your
Jeff.
bed.
I'm just saying.
I hear you. I just think that if there's a kid around that can get to it, you even if like you know, Ruby, you ask Ruby next time you see her. I'm not gonna say anything to her. What do you do if you see a gun? First thing is don't touch it. You know, get an adult. You know, it's like, and I drill that into her, but still, you know, I wouldn't leave it unlocked around her because kids get curious. I got curious. My dad had this old, I still have it actually in my safe, this old like break top wheel gun, you know, up in his shoe in the closet, a box of bullets next to it. And I used to take that thing down when he wasn't home and load it up and you know, around the house. I didn't shoot anything, but you know, God, I could have fucking
all I'm saying is I agree with all that, but all I'm saying is the type of people that comment on these fucking morons that are come out and say, so let me ask them this then when they comment like that. What are you going to have to lock your car keys up too because little Timmy got mad at the neighbors? He went and got mom's car, started it, and they were all out on their bikes and he ran them over. Fuck you. That motherfucker left the keys accessible to a child.
Accidental gun deaths.
You know what I mean? Like all the keys now, they left the keys accessible to a child. So lock your keys up. Let's put the parents in prison. All the little whiner fucking tough guys that get on the computers. My point is the whole thing. And I think everybody should, like, before you make comments about guns, you should know about them first of all.
Yep.
And you should understand the situations. Not even if you're pro or not. I don't care if you don't like guns. If you don't like guns, I believe in the American right to not like what you don't want to like and love what you want to love, as long as you ain't hurting nobody. So if you don't want to have guns, great. Good for you. Yeah. But it's mighty funny that every one of them, including people that I know personally in my life that are anti-gun, right? When shit's weird, they're like, well, we know that Troy has a gun. We'll call Troy.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
Oh, okay. But I thought you're anti-gun. Wait a minute, anti-gun little pussy wimp. Now you're going to call me? No, you do it yourself. That's your problem, man. Don't come to me.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that happens a lot, Jeff. And that's me speaking. That's my opinion.
No,
and I think that they're going to twist it, Jeff.
It's the same. You know, politics. You know how I feel about politics, man. They're all fucking politicians at the end of the day.
No, God.
And people, you know, with social media, and people can't resist mouthing off mostly about shit they don't know about. You know,
exactly.
They hear a buzzword, and both sides. They hear a buzzword on MSNBC or Fox News or wherever, and they're like, "Oh, this is something that I heard. I don't know about it, but I'm going to say it anyway."
You're right, Jeff. And it's the same thing. Like, okay, so I was reading somewhere that there's 500,000 tigers in captivity.
Damn, that's a lot of tigers.
Okay. That's what I was reading somewhere. Look at the fatalities and times that into 500,000 cats, right? It's not that much. And then so they'll take that and say, people shouldn't have animals like that. It's dangerous.
Didn't there just go into law, though, that now that you can't own? Private owners are now no longer able to own hard cats, right?
No, you can.
It's a touchy thing. I don't think there's
you
some.
Can, no, you can own. I think you can own, but I think it's the contact with those animals now.
And you can't. But that thing hasn't been completely signed or passed yet. It's still hanging, but that doesn't matter. That to me is crap because horses kill more people than tigers do in captivity.
So do cows.
I think they're going to do. Horses kill more people, Brittany. Horses kill more people. Not.
I believe it.
When you talk about cats versus pythons, when they're like pythons are dangerous and they're ruining the ecosystem, cats do more damage than pythons.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's easy to demonize a gun. It's easy to demonize a tiger. It's easy to demonize a snake than a cute fuzzy cat or a sweet, beautiful horse that you saw in a Western.
Well, of course.
You understand? So it's always leverage, because if people were smart and they just look at the statistics of what they're talking about.
They never do. Doesn't matter.
Like I always read that, cassowaries are the dangerous killer birds. You know, if you want to look them up, there's only 2 deaths to people on record that's recorded.
Yeah.
Like cassowaries. One was in 1924 because a teenager was trying to beat one up with a stick, and another one stabbed him in the back, and the one ran away. And then in 2017, when an old man who had them went in to take eggs, knowing he was 70-something years old and shouldn't have went in there. Do you think my dad's going to go in with one of my animals that's dangerous, knowing that he has a hard time moving around now? If he does, it's on my dad, not the animal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so they can twist that in, and they make this stuff up. And every time you see them, I was like, oh, that's that killer thing. No, it's not that killer thing. Yeah. What are you talking about? And so all this stuff to me gets me riled up, because it's all propaganda, because nobody goes, hey, let me look at some statistics right here. So horses kill more people than tigers do, but tigers are super dangerous, folks. And I don't know about you, but percher on horses and most horses outweigh any tiger on the planet. Yeah. Right. So they're a big animal that accidentally and vindictively killed their owners.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot by backward kicking right to the chest.
Yeah, bust your head off. I've seen it happen. I worked with horses most of my life. I'm very familiar with horses. I know exactly how they maneuver and what they think, and I see them when they're vindictive. I know that corner eye, they'll drop their ears. I'm going to fucking kill you. I've seen them go after people and people who have whipped. I've seen it. So I know how they act. But when you take something like this and you make it, this is just going to be turned into more propaganda, because people go,
the world knows. Everything's politicized now. It's all polarized and politicized.
Get a cappuccino and talk about it.
And no matter what happens in the world, one side or the other is going to find a way to use it to further their needs. There's no more, politicians aren't out for us anymore. They're
That's
out
right.
For us. Just like, it's ridiculous that, you look at, I don't want to get too into politics and the like, but look at the Supreme Court. It's all politicized. Sometimes it's this way, sometimes it's that way. Yep. They're supposed to be all impartial judges who go by the rule of law. That's, And
you know what's funny, man? The people who kill people with guns don't get them legally. So, the fact that she bought this gun legally and stuff.
Right.
A lot of the people I know personally that are good friends of mine or family that have guns, they're not out killing people with guns. You know that? I mean, so they're like, well, we got to get these out of the hands. Sure. You're just going to make more money for the smugglers, right? Exactly. And people are going to get the guns, and then you're not going to be able to do anything about it when someone comes in your house, because you're not going to be able to fight back unless you smack them with a broom or something and take the gun away.
No,
but the thing is, though, is we don't know enough about the mom. Like, they're not saying hardly anything about the mom. Like, they're not saying she's a single mom. They're not saying if she's, and so you have to sit there and think, in today's society, and I can say this because of being a woman, the way that they make it sound like if we're not careful, we're going to have some zip ties on the back of our car indicating that we're a single mom driving a vehicle and we're an easy target for sex trafficking. These things are plastered all over all the Instagram and TikToks, and it puts you on this extreme awareness to where you go, I should have a gun to protect myself and my kids in case somebody tries something. So I just would like to know more of the backstory of the mom, because it sounds like they're just completely just attacking her, but we have not heard a single thing about her. So we don't know.
I don't think anybody's really attacked the mom to this point. I think it's still it's so fresh. I think that there's just no information really at this point. I'd like to really see, who knows? She could have had an abusive husband that's been after.
And we just don't know the reason why she bought that gun, but she did it legally.
Absolutely.
She did the process. She did the gun classes. So, she did everything she needed to do to protect herself and her child. So there must be a reason. There had to be something. Either she was raised that way to make sure she was always prepared and had something to protect herself, or she's a single mom trying to protect herself. There had to be a reason why she got it.
And I don't think anybody, at least not here, is discounting the mom's need to have a gun or want to have a gun. That's what, if she thinks she needs a gun, hey, I'm all for it. You know that. I have a gun.
I didn't mean us. I'm talking about just the articles
that Jimmy and I, we don't keep guns because we don't believe in them. So. We'll rob you with an alligator snapper in a phone booth. That's
right. That's right. Hey, I'm sitting here talking to you guys. My gun is sitting right next to me on my coffee table, right to my left.
Yeah, because that's it, right? And it's not getting up and shooting anybody. When that gun gets up and makes Jimmy dinner, I'm going to be impressed.
If they have a gun like that, I'll buy two.
That's right, exactly. Guys, we're running over, and I appreciate everybody coming in and commenting tonight and hanging out with us on the Croc Show. We always have a good time, and we get a little flying, and we start rolling, our momentum gets good. But I do appreciate everybody coming out tonight and saying hello. And as always, I love having you guys with me. So thanks for all the support. I'm going to go ahead and end the show tonight, and we'll touch again on this stuff. Maybe we'll find out more about this whole shooting, and we'll find out. But definitely catch up with everybody again next week. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. So it's been great. Everybody, thanks for your support. Keep rocking out with your Croc Out, and we will see you next Tuesday.